Jennifer, what say we get to the news? Sound good?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North and South America, and all the ships and clippers at sea. Let's go to press. Flag.
Kind of big news here. Summoner Wars is returning. Summoner Wars was a big game. How was it? 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, we found that game boring.
Well, it isn't for everybody, right? It's not everybody's game. It's a tactical level skirmish game, which tends not to be the kind of games that our group plays that often. But this one was very thinky. It was very thinky. It was very much. It was closer to a Knizia design than a lot of these games, right? Now, yes, are there dice? Yes, there are dice, but it was much more chess-like, much more strategic than a lot of games, which was interesting. So the fact that they're bringing it back, this might be, if you're not into those, those tactical games, the kind of skirmish war game type things. This is one of those that is a cut above, or at least, let's put it this way. I think this was one of the standard bearers for a long time. I think this was one of those
Okay,
games
I can accept that. The other thing is we only played with the original base game. Weren't there a bunch of expansions?
I seem to recall that. Yeah, I seem to recall that there were a bunch. This wasn't my cup of tea either, but a lot of people I very much respect. I very much respect their game opinions. Absolutely loved it and were obsessed with it. Maddie for one was obsessed with it. This is going to be the second edition, and really cool thing, they are coming out with the second edition master set, this $50 big set, and they're coming out with an online implementation of it as well for only $10, which is really interesting that they're doing both at the same time. Pre-orders are up and available. Plaid Hat Games are doing it, and pre-orders are going to be going on until May 1st. So I'd check it out. There's an online demo that you can try out. Check it out. If you like skirmish games, you definitely have to try it.
Where is the online demo?
Let me see. Where is the online demo?
I mean, since we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's a browser-based app is what I'm being told. Summoner Wars Online. You can Google it and should be able to find it.
All right, great. I will try it.
Yeah. I think check it out. I think listen, even game styles or game types that I don't particularly love, when you make the best of that variety, I can almost always try it and be like, oh, wow, that is really good. You know what I mean? It's like the best of any genre I'm going to have at least some interest in. And Summoner Wars certainly is one of those kinds of games that really captured, I mean, it was just obsessive levels for a lot of people back 10 years ago, and it's good to have it back. Next up, John Company, second edition. Cole Worley has taken a look at his John Company design and has decided to do some revamping. I played this game at Essen and bought a copy at Essen, so I got a first edition copy of the game. I've only played it, maybe 3 times, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It is a very interesting design, and I like it very much, but I don't think it's a great game. What?
I said, like, as in, I kind of got that same feeling myself.
Yes. You've played it, yes?
Yes, I owned it, sold it for a profit, called it a day.
Well, here's the thing, though. When he talks about it being in a different style of 18xx game. And the fact of the matter is that it kind of is, but only when the second half of the game starts. It's like there's 2 separate halves of the game, and the first half of the game is the company running properly, and then the company starts to break down. And the breaking down portion is the part that gets 18xx. And for me, it was the running the company until it breaks down took far too long. and was the less interesting of the two. It's still interesting. There's a lot of what I like about it very much is that you see how Cole's mind works, and he's a very interesting designer. I think he tries to come at games sideways, right? He tries to come at traditional styles of gaming from a different angle. And when you look at PAX Premier, you see what happens when that's successful. It's crazy good. So I'm really hopeful that he does a real, a big tinkering instead of a small tinkering with John Company, because I thought there was a lot of promise in the design, and I hope very much that the second edition is going to crush it. I think it is coming out this month on Kickstarter. It may be at the end of the month, is what I seem to recall. Or
yes,
is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. The very end.
Yes, at the very end of the month. So keep an eye out for John Company if you're into heavy, especially an 18xx game that isn't a train game is always intriguing to me. I like the idea of that. I like the idea that you can separate the genre of the game from the style of game, and I think that's pretty cool.
I'm always skeptical.
I understand. The gaming world is littered with people trying to do a new type of 18xx, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, somebody's going to succeed. And if somebody is going to succeed, I might put some money on Cole Worley to be the guy who does it.
All right.
Next up, Everdell. Everdell was one of these games that really took a lot of us at Game Brain by surprise. It is a simple, beautiful-looking game that... when I read the rules, I was like, "Oh, I can't believe we're even going to play this." And after a single play, was completely turned around, delighted, and very much enjoyed. It is. You can say what you want about it. It might be a little bit light for some people, but it is a wonderful, wonderfully designed game and fantastic. And guess what? There are 2 new expansions coming to Kickstarter anytime now. I believe on March 9th. March 9th is going to be the Kickstarter. These expansions are called New Leaf and Mistwood. There's going to be new main card decks. There's going to be a train station board. There's new automa for opponents if you want to play solo mode. And let's say this. The base game for Everdell is phenomenal. The Pearlwood expansion I own, and it's slight. I like it. I won't play without it now. I think it's very good, but it's very slight. It doesn't really add that much. And the other expansions to Everdell so far have been good, but not overwhelming, right? There hasn't been the must-buy expansion for Everdell. So what would I say? I would say when the Kickstarter comes out, take a good long look at Everdell, and the expansions are Mistwood and New Leaf. New Leaf involves a train and some new mechanics, and Mistwood introduces some of the Spider Kingdom, I believe. I believe it introduces some perhaps antagonistic cards and creatures into the deck. Yeah, which is interesting because that is definitely not part of Everdell to this day. Everdell is a very idyllic kind of world. There really aren't too many hostiles or anything like that in there. So,
right.
I don't know. Have you played Everdell?
Yes, quite a few times actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah. Although I was thinking about flipping it when because it's going for some ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, it did get up to crazy amounts, and at a certain point, you got to be like, well, do I love it that much?
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's you. You do something.
But yeah, it's still here. In fact, I think you would have seen it either in my last video or the video before, because I always change my games on the shelf behind me.
You know what? A long time ago, I stopped looking at the games on the wall behind people. It's like it's one of those things that it became so obvious at a certain point that people were curating and changing and making these small little shifts, and they were creating.
No, not those games, not the big shelf, just the small shelf where I put like 4 games.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, no, because then, like, for example, people kind of like to know what's special.
Yes,
and those are my special ones.
I think that's great. I think it's a great. You don't have to say a word about it, but you're plugging some things that you like. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next up is a solo game. We don't talk about solo games. That's Maddie's territory, but we're going to talk about it right now. Batman Dark Knight Returns is a game that's coming to Kickstarter, and it's pretty unique in the sense that it is mostly a one-player game. They've kicked it up to a point where they've unlocked a 1v1 mode, but it is primarily designed as a solo game. Now, listen, it's DC, it's branded content, there's a whole bunch of dice. So if you're looking for the most nuanced strategy game in the world, you're probably going to need to look elsewhere. I will say that it looks good, and a game that goes to Kickstarter designed as a one-player solo game is kind of interesting, and the fact that it is Batman Dark Knight Returns. So it is telling the story of Frank Miller's comic series that many people, myself included, consider to be the best, bar none, Batman story ever told. Really.
Wow.
Well, it was such a seminal comic. It was like one of the first graphic novels. You know, when comics stopped being comic books and they became graphic novels, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns was one of the very first ones. And I can tell you right now, just in my mind, when I say those words, I can picture 12, 14, 16 different panels that were so stark, so just unbelievably drawn. And the story is of an older Batman in a world that is decaying, like he's sort of failed, and he's trying to just one last time stave off the destruction of Gotham, and his enemies are numerous and many, and they're kind of like mutants and so on and so forth. And even Superman is his a nemesis in this. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Is it what the movie was taken from, The Dark Knight?
No, it is not. The Batman is called The Dark Knight, so you can have a movie that says Dark Knight, and it doesn't mean Dark Knight Returns, and in particular, it doesn't mean Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. That's the comic book I'm talking about, or the graphic novel I'm talking about. It's amazing. Morgan Dontonville was one of the designers of this, along with Daryl Andrews. So
excellent.
Yeah, how about that? Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Another piece of interesting news, The Crew has a new version, I should say. Sort of expansion, but not really an expansion. There were 2 expansions that were put out for The Crew, but they were essentially just a little booklet of extra missions that you could go on, because as you know, the game doesn't need much more than new missions that lay out different requirements for this particular hand or that particular hand. This one is called The Crew Mission Deep Sea, coming out in 2021. And we are looking for the lost continent of Mu deep under the sea. This is a new small box game with all new cards and a lot of the same mechanisms, but with some new surprises. Communication, in particular, my understanding, is going to be much more limited because we are submerged. And as you know, communication in The Crew is the crucial thing to winning that game, is being able to...
I hate to tell you this.
Uh-oh.
I've never played it.
Really? I don't know if it would be your cup of tea, but
That's right.
I think it might not be. Did you like Hanabi?
Hated Hanabi.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even going to play The Crew with you, because I think that this is it's a game that I love dearly, but it's definitely not for everybody.
Right. Yeah. It didn't seem as if it would be a good fit for me.
No.
So I have not played it.
It is a game about communication problems, and with your hearing, you already have communication problems.
Right.
That game is called Life.
Exactly. So I don't really need that.
No. Like I said, not for everybody. But The Crew Mission Deep Sea, I am very much looking forward to checking out when it comes here. It seems like it's going to be one of those things where, just like the original Crew, it may already be released in the German language version, and they'll try and follow up with the English language version coming up soon.
All right.
Yeah, but that would seem to be the end of the news, but I think it's not the end of the news yet, because if I'm not mistaken, Jennifer, do you have some Maracaibo-related news for us?
I do. It's truly amazing.
Tell me.
It's truly amazing. Early in February, Alexander Pfister contacted me and showed me a card that's going to be in the Maracaibo expansion named Uprising. And do you guys know why it's named Uprising?
Why is it named Uprising, Jennifer?
Because Alexander Pfister previous had contacted me and given me 4 names that the expansion might be. And I said, well, I know 2 experts in this area.
Who might those be?
Yeah, pardon?
Who might those experts be?
Tom Donnelly and Matthew Robinson, because this is their job. This is what they do.
So if you think Maracaibo Uprising is a horrible name, you can blame the hosts of Game Brain, because we were the ones that told them to call it that.
Right. So then Mr. Pfister showed me a card that's going to be in Uprising, or the Uprising, and the card name is Revolt. And there's a picture of a Black woman on the card, and it also has my name on the card.
Isn't that amazing? Congratulations,
yeah, I'm
Jennifer.
still getting goosebumps.
It's wonderful. It is wonderful.
I mean, I just could not believe it that he would name a card after me. I mean, Alexander Pfister, right?
Yeah, dude. The number one game on the Game Brain Top 50 is an Alexander Pfister design. We are huge fans.
I almost passed out.
Huge.
Yeah. Now, the publisher has not informed Board Game Geek of the expansion yet, and that's why it's not on BGG, but it's definitely coming. I do have to say, the publisher asked me to tell everybody that, of course, this is the plan, and it might not be in the finish, but, I'm fairly sure that they wouldn't show it to me if it wasn't going to be printed.
That would be hilarious. Like, you know what? We went a different way.
I
know. Congratulations, Jennifer Longard. You and Trey now both have cards in very popular games with your faces on it, but you are the only one that has your name on it.
Oh, Trey doesn't have his name?
No.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
No, the Agricola cards do not have people's names on them.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
that's
no,
true.
No.
No, it's truly amazing. I just couldn't believe it. The other thing, I hate to keep plugging myself, but I really am going to do a video very soon on the card, on Maracaibo, bringing in our previous discussion about Black Lives Matter and representation. Good. And the alma mater thread. So that video is coming.
Watch out. Jennifer's going to be throwing some flames.
It's always very targeted.
Well, as well it should be. 100% behind you. If we're not throwing flames today, and we're not, then are we making the changes to our hobby that we want to see? Right? We have to be calling people to account. Right?
Right, and we're making them because we want more people in the hobby.
Yes. And Alexander Pfister, who got criticism, for the choice of themes and game design. It seems like, from everything we're hearing, that Uprising is a response to that, and could well be a really great response to that. And we're looking forward to checking it out.
Right.
Looking forward to it.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.